Hello everyone, I'm here at one of my favorite places, the Dunwoody Nature Center. It's a beautiful place where I can come and think and talk and get a chance to be with you all. I know that I said all week, especially if you were in my morning meditations that I started this week, which are super fun to do, and I'm going to start doing them a bit longer if I can. Seems like I don't wake up in time to get every single thing that I want to do done. I like to practice guitar, meditate, get ready for work, take a long shower, shave, whatever. All kinds of stuff I do in the morning. So I changed what I'm going to talk about today based on a series of synchronicities that have happened to me. What I wanted to talk about is breaking into the source code of this. Breaking into the little signatures, the little glitches that if you pay attention to them, can lead you in the right direction.
What is he talking about?
Clearly, he's speaking about little things that happen, that if you notice, they're always around decisions that you're making. I'm going to get real here because lust was more one of my issues when I was young, so it's something that I can talk about because it's something that I know how to beat. Let's say that you think that you shouldn't be watching pornography and masturbating. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with masturbating. There is an over masturbatory thing that you can do that causes trouble in your body and in your mind and can fracture your psyche, but that's a whole other story. Let's say you don't think you should do it, but you're not 100% sure if you should or not, if it's bad or good or whatever, but you don't think you should. Then you go to do it, and someone knocks on the door. It's the postman, okay? That interrupted my fun times. Now I'm gonna go back to it. Then you go back to do it again. Something falls off the bookshelf and makes some noise. God, this is getting really annoying. I can't do what I want. I can't touch myself because of all this blah, blah, blah. Those things are little signs. Those things are there to tell you confirmations of what you're wondering, what you're thinking, what you're asking. And they're saying stop. These happen everywhere, in all times, in all places. If you pay attention, you are part of the source code. You're not in the source code. You are a piece of that. And when two things, when fate and decision meet, that's when those codes complete. And that's when you can truly find what it is that you're supposed to be doing. So what does this little bit of information about the source code tell us? Does it tell us that we're predestined to perform certain things on this earth? Does it tell us that we're not really in control? You have free will, but in many ways you're not in control. Control is when you literally have everything under your power. That's not what we have. You have control over doing the right thing and doing the wrong thing. But that's where the control stops. But this world isn't without its quest guides. It's not without its help. It's always going to provide you the proper path to reach the ultimate version of you, as long as you pay attention to it. So I encourage you, hang on a second. This is a sourwood tree, Oxydendron arboreum. This is what a sourwood tree looks like. Since we're here anyway, figured I'd show you that because I think it's really neat to identify trees. And if you learn to identify trees, you can learn to identify mushrooms. Hey, it is what it is. I like taking pictures of them, you know that. And it's always helpful when you know what they are. That way, if you find something that you don't know what it is, you have resources to find out what it is, or possibly you discovered something new that you can send into the Mycology Society. So these little source glitches, they don't only occur for you, for your individual life. They occur globally. They occur for all consciousness. When you're watching the news, you can even see it. You just have to look for little signs. This particular thing in my life and in my experience always occurs whenever this result is the result. This always happens. This feeling occurs. These certain little stimuli happen. And it's funny because you almost sound like a crazy person when you're like, pay attention to everything. If you're walking around and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna go rob a bank today. And then a leaf falls down in front of you and bumps you on the nose. Okay, most people, that's just a leaf. fell from the sky, it's perfectly reasonable that that leaf would have fallen. It's also perfectly reasonable that that leaf would have broken all probability to land on your face. You just happened to be here that day. You just happened to be in that exact spot. You just happened to be where the wind decided to blow the leaf. So it's both naturally occurring phenomenon and source code information, because the written code knew that you were going to be here. The second you thought about it, that code adapted to allow you to be in this time and in this place today. So, in many ways, it's predestination, but it's predestination based upon choice. So your choices are not predetermined, but your results based on choices that you make are predetermined. If that makes a lick of sense. If it doesn't, well, I'll just leave. So there's a lot more that goes into this that I'm going to get into over the coming weeks as I see fit. That's the hard thing about Be Still VoiceWorks channel. I can tell you I'm going to talk about this on Wednesday, but then when Wednesday comes, I'm directed to tell you something else. These little intuitions that I get, I always do them. Always. That's why some of you will comment and say, oh my God, this is exactly what I needed today. This is what I'm thinking. In many ways, a lot of us are thinking the same things, and that's why that works. But also, it's part of the code. I think the thing that we have to work our way around to is whether or not we want to be arbitrary bits of this code, or if we want to hack this code in order to edit it to our will. And I think that's the one that we ought to be. I think that, now that it's pretty certain that Biden's going to be the president, I'm proud that we at least went back to the baseline of our craziness in this country. But the true fact of the matter is that we've gotten nowhere near close to where we should be. We've gotten nowhere near close our potential in this country, or in this world, or even as individual human beings. We're nowhere near where we should be. We're still letting septuagenarians run our country. Septuagenarians that when they were teenagers lived in a completely different world. The world that they grew up and adapted to is not this one. We need to stand up and take this country back. We need a U.S. exodus of Egypt, but here. We have to exit this world, this life that we live in, this dimension that we're in. We have to exit. We have to change this country. It's been changed many times before by the youth and by the patriots, the true patriots who actually care about the country, not the idea of the country, but the people that exist in the country. Because there is no such thing as a physical, tangible idea, unless human beings or people or animals, whoever they are that's having this particular idea, execute it. So we have an idea that we'd like to be equal and we'd like to love each other. We have that idea. That idea is not something that's corporeal. So it's up to us. It's up to us. We have to stand up and fight. Maybe not physically, but we have to fight against the structures. We have to fight against the voting that we've been asked to do. We have to say, no, none of us are going to vote unless we get the candidates that we want. Because either side, there's conspiracies delivered to you to craft your mind into it's that or this scenario. But it's not. It's not that or this. It's simply this. Us. It's us. Human beings. It's people. And what we're going to do, this worked out great. We're going to take this back. You see all these places. My ancestors were from right here, Georgia. The Native American Muskogees, the Creek Indians as they were called after people decided not to use their proper names. You got all of these great states full of amazing human beings. And yet, for some reason, all of us, including me sometimes, think that this line around this creates a boundary for my ideas that separates mine from yours and separates your wrongness from my rightness. The truth is, there's not a damn one of us on this planet who knows what the hell is going on. None of us. We were born into a world that we saw things, we made assumptions, and we had experiments where we said, okay, this is the answer. But it's deeper than that. We're not looking at things and seeing what's real. We're looking at things and interpreting them to our will. Well, guys, it's time. It's time for me to put my voice out there. It's time for you to put your voice out there. It's time for us to claim America. The United States have never been less united, but there is something we can do about that. We don't have to sit back and be controlled. And if I were to ever actually get this message to a reachable audience of a large size, I would immediately be squashed and be put down. Because fear is the controller of this country and of any leadership. They want you to be afraid. That way you think, oh, I'll be ruined, my career will be gone, they'll take away my kids, they'll, make false claims of sexual harassment against me, whatever it may be. Doesn't matter. F them. Okay, as we say, fluck them. Because without fear, we're liberated, we're free. So pay attention to the codes over the next coming weeks. Let me know what you find. And as always, be still.